This is not sales job. Sales has enough to worry about. They have enough to do. They are talking to 16 different people in the buying committee across 10 to 15 different deals, not to mention they have to expand into their already existing accounts. Like, they're doing enough. This is on you, marketing team. This is on you to say, hey, put your foot in the door and say, this is our marketing strategy. This is what we're doing. Here's a gap that I'm seeing. How can I help?
Influential and thought-provoking minds in marketing, sales, and business. The Business of Marketing Podcast.
Welcome again to the Business of Marketing. I'm A. Lee Judge. I first connected with today's guest on LinkedIn because her post reflected the kind of real B2B marketing you only learn by doing, especially in complex industries like manufacturing or software as a service. She's now leading marketing at a growing software company, shaping strategy, owning distribution, and sharing insights that actually stick. So joining me today is Mary Keough. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Lee, I'm so excited to be here. Really pumped when you asked me. I've also been following you on LinkedIn, so I'm excited to talk to your audience.
You know, it's really great when you're on LinkedIn, you start feeling this feeling of community because you see a post and you go, wow, they get it. They get my pain that I'm going through today. They understand the industry, and that's when those conversations really start, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about this with another colleague the other day, and I really hope LinkedIn keeps it that way because, you know, it is going to more that like video first platform. So I really hope they do keep that sense of community because I really love that about LinkedIn is just you feel like you know people, and then, you know, coming here, communicating with you today, it's like we already start on this basis of like, you're my colleague, like you get it, like let's dig in.
Yeah, like we're both in the trenches, maybe further down the trench, but we're all in the same trench fighting the same battle here. So let's get right into it. So after me following your content on LinkedIn, I found so much content that I relate to, especially from some of the things around marketing operations and tracking and making marketing make sense to marketing overall, to management overall. And I know you've had some roles in several different kinds of companies, and I think it's important for marketers to understand how their roles could vary across different industry types. So I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the key differences in strategy do you prioritize when marketing to engineers in industrial sectors versus where you're at now to software decision makers, particularly like in content creation and campaign execution?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So when I first started my marketing career, I actually started as a technical writer and just kind of like found my way into the marketing department in this, mid-sized manufacturing company. They just like had a need on the marketing side. So made my way from technical writing into marketing. And we were mainly talking to, this is such an interesting topic because it really shows how large certain industries are and how many buying personas there are. So in manufacturing, we were mainly talking to facilities managers, so people who manage the actual manufacturing facility. So they're in charge of buying things to keep the manufacturing facility going. And then as I moved into a role at a marketing agency, it was also industrial manufacturing focused. But that way, in some of those for some of those companies, we were more talking to that technical buyer. So an actual mechanical engineer, a director of engineering, somebody who's like more technical focused. And then in my role now, so I'm at, like you said, I'm at a SaaS company, and we actually do sell to engineering people. So we sell to technical buyers, but like you said, it's a software purchase. So we do have multiple people on that buying committee. So we're also talking to IT managers. We're talking to people in the C-suite because especially with the geopolitical situation, you know, we have a lot of tariffs, like prices are increasing. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So we're actually finding we're having to talk to people who are like 2 and 3 levels above. So in that C-suite, so like even in some cases, the CEO directly has to approve the purchase of software because there's just so much uncertainty in the market today. So kind of like looking back on my career, it is really interesting to see I've kind of stayed in that manufacturing industrial sector, but the number of people I've had to market to, write content for, build a marketing strategy around is a very varied persona.
Wow. You know, you mentioned something that And I had no intention of having a conversation about AI, but you can't
Yeah.
avoid it nowadays.
Yep.
You mentioned you started as a technical writer. And I'm guessing that starting off as a technical writer, no matter how much AI you use today, having that base as a human technical writer, understanding your customer at that level has to make a huge impact on how you market today.
Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought that point up because when I started, there wasn't a huge focus on like customer first marketing. Like a lot of people, because we were kind of in the digital age, it's like, oh, we can just like talk in a general way. Or the manufacturing company I started at had been in business for, 75 to 80 years. So they're like, oh, we already know our customer. We've been doing this for a long time. We don't need to talk to people. So there was just this kind of like we know our customer mindset that I had to overcome. So talking to customers in that really helped build this like foundation of knowledge. So to your point, like really putting myself in the point of view of the customer, of a facilities manager, an operations manager. And you do find these little nuggets of wisdom that you just can't get from a Google search or from ChatGPT because it's just the human perspective. So as I'm finding, so I kind of carried that mindset into all of my roles in marketing. And I am a user of ChatGPT. Love ChatGPT. I have
Mm-hmm.
multiple custom GPTs that I use to help ideate or even write certain parts of my content for me. But that base, like knowing your customer, is such an invaluable part of it because number one, it feeds the GPT, right? So
Mm-hmm.
me having that knowledge helps ChatGPT build
Learn and build.
really great content. But then also I can read what ChatGPT writes and be like, that's just not true. Or like
That's the part.
I need to refine this.
That's the part. You have the experience to be that critical human in the loop to say, those words are great, but there's something missing there that I, as an experienced person, know is not quite correct. You have
Yeah.
that ability.
Yeah, that's actually such a great point too. Like some of the outputs, especially as ChatGPT and some of the other AI products are getting more advanced, the output is really good. Like you read it and you're like, oh, that's a really well constructed sentence. This is a really logical paragraph. But having that human in the loop to be like, as good as this sounds, it's missing something. It's either false or it's
Mm-hmm.
missing that very human specific point of view.
Yeah, and I think where we're at right now is it's so good at writing that it takes that much more of an expert to find something that's false. Like if
Yes.
you've got 100 pages, let's just say if it's just one page, you want to browse it real quick. If there's just one falsehood in there, skimming it won't help you find that falsehood. It would take an expert to actually read it and know, wait a minute, I have experience that says that's not quite right. So I appreciate that you brought up the point of where you started from, because I'm worried about new marketers who skip the first few years of being in the trenches to actually study and learn the craft and learn how to write for their audience, because they won't be the experts in the next round of generation to understand where those mistakes are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen a lot of opinions on LinkedIn that say something like, oh, the entry level marketer role is dead because ChatGPT is going to do a lot of that. I really don't think that's true because I think there will always be a place for entry level marketers. You have to start somewhere. Um, and more important than that is bringing that customer perspective. Like there's just going to be work that, okay, so I'm a director of marketing today. There's certain work that I just can't do anymore. So I can't spend 10 hours a week interviewing customers. Like I listen to a lot of gong calls. I probably have 2 customer interviews a month. But when I was first getting started, when I really wanted to build that base of foundational knowledge, when I was a technical writer, I was doing like 5 customer interviews a week. I just don't have the time to do that today. And that's where I think an entry level marketer, this is what they can learn. So they can do that part of it and help feed the AI. So like you said, human in the loop is so critical, and there still will be roles for entry level marketers to like learn that craft and really dig into the specifics.
Maybe when someone writes the term that entry-level marketers are going to go away, their viewing or their experience of entry-level marketing is different. Like their entry-level marketer is a repetitive task, low-level learning kind of job, intern level almost job. And those may be wiped away, but I think the definition of what entry-level marketing looks like changes. Like
Absolutely.
perhaps before, an entry level person didn't do customer interviews because they didn't know the customer well enough. But now that person can go another level up to what we may consider a mid-tier marketer, may be what's the new entry level, which means we all literally level up, right? From the entry level marketer to the CEO, we all can level up. So there is still entry level. It's just a higher quality entry level. Maybe
Yeah,
that's the way we'd say it.
absolutely. And like I'm glad you brought up like the being like I when I first started doing customer interviews, I was 24 years old, like fresh out of college, like zero knowledge of engineering or manufacturing. I had worked like I thought I was going to be like writing books or, like being I thought I was going to be an English professor. So, I mean, I came into those interviews just completely open and honest. Hey, look, I have zero perspective here. Can you really help me understand you, help me understand your job? And I think being that open, honest, curious person, people are more honest with you. Like I got just amazing stories that when I delivered the final report to my boss, like on a monthly basis, he was just like, I don't know how you got them to say these things because just like you said, like being curious, being open, like
Mm.
being okay with starting out from the bottom. I think that's okay.
If you're a marketer struggling to create content that's truly unique to your brand, here's the key. Your experts and executives are your most valuable content assets. Conversational content like videos and podcasts featuring your team stand out above all other content. So, instead of creating content that sounds just like your competition, start leveraging the unique voices inside your company. Thought leaders and authentic conversations build credibility and engagement. At Content Monster, we specialize in remote content production, meaning we coach your people to be comfortable on camera, then we capture and produce high-quality videos and podcasts featuring your team and customers. No need for expensive production crews, long production plans, or complex setups. Want to see how it works? Visit contentmonster.com today to learn more. We mentioned earlier about tracking in the customer journey, how much is different. So let's talk about that a bit. I mentioned to you before we began recording that I did a talk a few years back called Click to Close, where I would show marketers how to track a customer journey from their first click to the close. It's almost embarrassing now to think that I did that because even though it was true then, it's almost impossible today to do unless maybe in e-commerce, as you mentioned. So now that that's changed, we have terms like dark social and dark marketing, and we know that our customer has their journey on their own. So as private channels like messaging apps and direct shares and can obscure attribution, these interactions are still significant for the buyer's decision. So what practical steps can marketers, in your opinion, take to better understand how to manage our loss of this ability to track the customer journey and still answer some of those questions that leadership's going to ask about attribution?
Yeah, this is so funny that you brought this up because I was the exact same way. Like when I first started in marketing, so technical writing, couple years, then moved into marketing, and I was obsessed with tracking everything, like every email open, every like click on our website, every click, and then retargeting. Like retargeting was the big thing. Like no one in our company had ever heard of, and I'm like, we got to do retargeting. That was like, basically magic to them. Like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
you can do this? So I went from definitely being in that perspective too, to now being like, I really don't care what we track anymore, as long as people come to our website and book a demo or like
I'm
convert on
glad
a
you
high
said it.
intent form.
I'm glad you said it out loud.
That I really don't care. And I'm very lucky that my CMO and our CEO also understands that landscape. Like they're around like our age, like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
if you get into the maybe like next generation above us, they're still
Mm-hmm.
kind of grappling with
They
that
need
reality
proof
that you
on
can't track
everything.
everything online. But now
Yeah.
our generation and even like the generations below us are like, yeah, you can't track anything. And honestly, we don't want you to track us. So like, it's okay that like, there's no tracking. And all I want you to do is hopefully convert on a high intent form when you're ready.
Maybe I'll be the first, and I hate that I might say the term vibe revenuing or vibe
Really?
conversions. I'll be afraid if anybody ever quotes and says Lee Judge invented vibe revenue because it's almost a sin. But I get it because even in our company, you know, I'm still letting go of some of my marketing operation days of measuring every single thing. To now, I just measure the lagging indicators, like what happened. If there's something major, there's a major blip of, oh, that was great, let's do more, or that didn't work, let's do less. But it doesn't dictate what we do going forward. Like we
Yes.
try new things without proof. And that's what I think most companies don't quite get yet, especially with marketing. You have to try new things without proof. Otherwise, you're always lagging and following someone else. There's no innovation in marketing. And so what have you found? What are some of the tactics you found to help marketers or help your own campaigns push into that unknown and do things you don't quite have certainty about yet, but you have a vibe that it's going to be a positive action?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you can do, like none of us are working for, Nike and Apple and Google. None of us have billion-dollar marketing budgets. We have very small, likely very small budgets. Like I came
Hmm.
from manufacturing who basically marketing was just like a cost center and all you did was buy booths at the trade show. Like that was basically your job. So
Hmm.
I think like recognizing the reality is like we have a small budget and then placing big bets on channels. So that's what we do. So at Collab, and I've done in previous roles, is say, these are the two channels that we're
Hmm.
going to take a big bet on over the next, just to prove it out, we'll say the next like 3 to 6 months. And we're going to go as hard as we can. So LinkedIn is obviously a pretty major channel for anybody in B2B. It's a very common channel that I've used like throughout the past like probably 5-ish years of marketing. And it's never just paid ads. It's, hey, we're going to do paid ads. We're going to have some key employees post regularly in like on their personal pages. We're going to post more often on the company page. Like when I say pick a channel, I mean like we are going to go all in on this
Hmm.
channel. Another really great example is we actually started exploring PR in the last like 12 months. And so we have like a really great PR freelancer who we work with who has some great connections. So anything that we write that's really high value, so we write the content in-house and then use her as our distribution channel. So like
Okay.
really making sure we're like coming back and saying, you know, here's this piece. We know it's good. Like we're placing this big bet on this big content piece. Now you go and distribute it into all of these like newsletters, online publications, journals, etc. So I think that's the biggest thing that marketers are afraid of is like, let's take a big bet. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't do TikTok. We don't do Twitter. Like we just don't do it because we don't have the capacity. So I think being honest about what's your budget, what's your resources, what can you realistically do, and what are the strengths on your marketing team. So I think once you do that and then place those big bets, that's when you
Hmm.
really start seeing people come in and fill out those high intent forms.
Forms. On your forms, well, this is a question about forms and attribution.
Yeah.
We've been putting a bigger effort into asking questions of our customers and of our prospects of how did you find us? What are your thoughts today on asking the question, getting it on your forms, and getting your salespeople to ask the question? Are you doing that more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we ask on all of our high intent info forms, we say, how did you hear about us? If they didn't fill out that part of the form or they came in through maybe like a DM, we'll ask like, we'll say, hey, what other places have you heard about us? But this is bought in at the sales level. So I'm so glad you
Good,
brought that up. Like
good.
sales, marketing, customer success, we're all aligned on this same strategy. So they are encouraged and happy to ask people, hey, where are you hearing about us? Like, just curious, like, how did you first hear about Collab? Like, what's the journey been like since then? And building that, I think it just really helps build that relationship, anyways, because then that helps our salespeople build that reference point. So they can say,
Hmm.
oh, great. Like, what post did you interact with? Oh, that's awesome. Like, I'm going to send you like XYZ article after this because you read that one. So I think you're really going to like this one. So like everyone's bought in on that strategy.
I love to hear that sales and marketing collaboration. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I've been living and breathing for the past year or so since the book. Marketers and sales leaders, if you want to close more deals and drive real revenue growth, you need cash. And I don't mean money. I'm talking about my new book, Cash, The 4 Keys to Better Sales, Smarter Marketing, and a Supercharged Revenue Machine. It gives you a proven framework to improve the 4 areas that impact revenue the most: communication, alignment, systems, and honesty. You need a stronger sales and marketing engine, and this book will show you how to build it. Get your copy now at aleejudge.com/cash. Now, back to the content. The fact that you said that sales is buying into it once they ask the questions, I'm guessing that helps sales respect and understand the role of marketing. When they hear someone say, oh, I heard about you through this marketing effort, and sales goes, oh, I'm here as a salesperson because of something that started in marketing.
Yes, absolutely. That's another thing. Like I know a lot of other, again, on LinkedIn, like people hating on the funnel, like the traditional marketing funnel. We use it and it really helps with what you just said, like that sales marketing alignment. So we use the funnel. I think it's from, I don't remember who made it, like Demand Base or Sixth Sense or somebody, but it starts out awareness is your top of funnel, then education, consideration, selection, and conversion. So we have just an understanding across our go-to-market teams that marketing handles awareness and education and sales handles consideration and conversion. So that like really helps things because they're like, oh, great. Like people are coming inbound and talking to us. So marketing is doing their job. People are aware of us and marketing is educating people enough that they are coming to us informed on some subject. And now this is our job. Our job is to now move into that consideration set, make sure we stay there, and then convert them hopefully into a customer. So I think that alignment is also really critical.
Well, going the other direction, how does marketing continue down that funnel? Like when someone's in the consideration stage, what is marketing's role to help sales get them to a closed deal?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we use a strategic narrative framework from Andy Raskin. So like a sales process framework. I think it's called like the greatest sales pitch ever or sales pitch deck ever from Andy Raskin. So we build this strategic narrative that everyone in the company is bought into. Here's why Collab exists. Here's the problems we solve. Here's why you need to solve them today. And here's how we do it. So our job in the consideration and conversion set is mostly sales enablement. So building really killer pitch decks, making sure sales is informed on any like new product updates or on the product roadmap. So product marketing mainly is responsible for that. So we still like participate in the sales process at those stages, but mostly from an enablement perspective.
Okay, that's important. As we're talking about sales and marketing, I want to get your thoughts on this term that we've all grappled with. And I saw a recent post from you about this. Again, I was like, I feel her on that one. This is really, even from the first sentence, I think you said something about, I don't understand account-based marketing. I'm like, she's getting somewhere with this because my first thought was, yeah, me either. But then I knew you were going somewhere with it.
Yeah. We've all been asked to do an ABM campaign, right? Like
we've all been asked. And I remember it was a digital summit in Atlanta years ago. I remember sitting in the audience with Sangram Vajri when he was talking about flip my funnel.
Yep.
And, I was all about the funnel then. I was Salesforce administrator at the time. And I'm like, what is flip my funnel? And it made sense, sort of. But then the term blew up and it spread so wide and thin that I don't know if anybody really understands it. Is it, some people say it's land and expand. You get into a company and you expand. Some add additional nuances to it. So what is your current take on it today? And, how would you say we could approach it, maybe understand it better?
Yeah, I think account-based marketing, it has to be, and like this is what I was kind of getting at, it has to be a go-to-market strategy. It cannot be a strategy that lives only in marketing. So it has to be something that's bought in at the leadership level, at the marketing level, the sales level, and then the customer success level. Because if you don't have that cross-functional buy-in, it's just not going to work. Like I've done the ABM campaigns where they're like, hey, marketing, go do this ABM campaign to our top 10 prospects because we want to land and expand. Like we're already in, I don't know, like some big company like Tyson or something, and we want to get into all of their business units. So go send a custom email campaign, right? Go send some ads to only Tyson. And I've seen them all fail. Like I've seen it fail before. Like it just doesn't work because no one else is bought in. Like all sales knows is that marketing is doing this campaign. All customer service knows is marketing is doing this thing. They're not bought in. So like marketing can't go back and be like, hey, we're seeing some really great signals from Tyson in Atlanta. You guys should really reach out. Like, let me help you with a outreach campaign. Let me get you some contact information. Maybe connect with them on LinkedIn and send them this really great case study, like something like that. That just was never done. And that's the kind of cross-functional alignment that I've seen work here. So I wouldn't consider it necessarily ABM. I would call it like ABGTM. So account-based go-to-market.
Go-to-market. Love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So there's a leadership place in there, though, because you said, because I know you have this figured out, but you said marketing gives that feedback to sales, like, hey, we see this thing in the market, let's go do that. The problem with that is if there isn't leadership involved in giving marketing the respect to give information back to sales, many companies, there's a wall there. And this is where this term silo comes in, because sales in some organizations don't have any responsibility to listen to marketing. Like, we've got this now. It's a handoff environment. You hand it off to us, go away, plan your trade show. It isn't a marketing, let us know what's happening so we can be better at our jobs. So what are your thoughts on that leadership part? What do companies need to do to make sure leadership is that pivotal role in between sales and marketing?
Yeah, it has to be leadership led. So at the leadership level, we actually have select account lists that our leadership team created. So we have our top 500, top 100, and top 50 accounts. And salespeople are incentivized to get into those accounts. So they get certain commission checks, or they'll get like a bonus if they get into any of the top 50, 100, or 500. So that's at the leadership level. They say, these are the accounts that we want to hit as a sales organization. So when I send my sales team something like, hey, Honeywell is just filled out a form, they are like they are on it, because they know they're incentivized and they know this is coming from the leadership team.
Wonderful. So let's wrap on this. I might put you on the spot, but
yeah.
So sales and marketing alignment. One of the things that, the framework that I have in my book is CASH, is communication, alignment, systems, and honesty. And those are the 4 places that I see sales and marketing teams typically trip up and not make their revenue goals because of a breakdown in one of those 4 places. So given that, if you were to talk to a team that you found that was obviously broken in terms of their alignment, who would you talk to first, and what would you tell them to get them to start getting their team aligned?
Yeah, so I'm going to put a little caveat on it, it depends, but this is where I've come from. So I've come from B2B organizations that are sales led, so not product led, with high ACVs. So the average customer value is well into the, let's say 5 to 8 figures. So these are like big accounts. In that case, sales is running a lot of these. They're running a lot of the motion, right? So they have a huge responsibility to close big deals, and the sales cycles are very long. So in that specific instance, I'm talking to marketing right away. And I'm like, look, this is not their job. This is not sales' job. Sales has enough to worry about. They have enough to do. They are talking to 16 different people in the buying committee across 10 to 15 different deals, not to mention they have to expand into their already existing accounts. They're doing enough. This is on you, marketing team. This is on you to say, hey, put your foot in the door and say, this is our marketing strategy. This is what we're doing. Here's a gap that I'm seeing. How can I help?
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, Mary, I want to thank you for joining me today on the podcast. And for those who are listening to us, you can also see Mary and I in the video section of contentmonster.com. So once again, thanks, Mary, and we'll catch you all next time.
Thank you for listening to the Business of Marketing podcast, a show brought to you by contentmonster.com, the producer of B2B digital marketing content. Show notes can be found on contentmonster.com, as well as aleejudge.com.